It's Monday, March 25th, Tuesday, March 26th. If you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under, and this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night to kick off your week. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Support this show by shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin creates high-quality messages to the masses. Head to his website in suho.com and subscribe to his channel today. The final Monday of every month, we are joined by the man, the myth, the bipedal legend, as Butch Witkowski strolls into tonight's show wearing his patented sequined robe for strange days. A veteran investigator in the paranormal and supernatural, Butch joins us from UFOcop.com, where he is the creator and lead investigator of his group in Pennsylvania. A former police officer, Butch uses the techniques he used as a cop to search for creatures like aliens, Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, and these giant bipedal canines roaming around the forest. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we will bring you a little bit of breaking news on the SOR Newswire. Mr. Butch Witkowski, always a pleasure to have you on this show, my friend. How are you?
I'm fine, sir, and it's always a pleasure to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Well, I got to ask, because we do have some wrestling fans out there. What do you do with your robe while you take it off and get ready for the show?
That could be illegal. I'd rather not talk about it.
Yes, we don't want to get your sequins dirty, that's for sure. My man, it's been a full month already. Hard to believe this is the third time you've been on this year already as we finish off the month of March and the beginning of spring. It's been a very busy winter. The last couple of times you've been on, you've been talking about that, and we're going to get into that just a little bit as we look towards the spring this year. But for people who are listening to you for the first time, because we always have an ever-growing audience, how did you get into this field?
Well, accidentally, of course. Not a chosen field for sure. Was living in Tucson, Arizona back in 1989. Was outside with a couple gentlemen that we had planting some saguaro cactus on the property. Kind of back and forth with my neighbor across the street, and wife went in to get some iced tea because it was rather hot. And above a mountain, there was just this craft hovering. And at least 3 football fields in length, no doubt about that ever in my mind. Some faded green lights on the side, kind of a burnt bronze color, and just hovered there. And it was huge. I mean, it was stories high. And everybody else was looking at it, so I knew I wasn't crazy. My neighbor across the street was looking at it. My next-door neighbor was looking at it over the wall. And it just silently rose up and took off. I contacted Sheriffs Department, for Pima County, the DPS, which is their highway patrol, Tucson City Police, Davis Monthan Air Force Base, every media outlet I could find, and nobody saw nothing. So it was just us 7 people that saw what we saw.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting. How did that make you feel? Was that the first one you'd ever seen?
Yes. Yeah. And even after it happened and I made all the calls, I started second-guessing myself, and then I was over talking to my neighbor, and he said, no, what we saw is what we saw. And so it was traumatic, only in the fact that I've never seen anything that big in the air. It made a 747 look like a Cessna 172. I mean, it's huge craft, and it was totally silent, and nothing else happened. I mean, there was no loss of time, electrical discharges, noises, my watch stopped, none of that stuff. It was just there, and then it was gone. The total time of the sighting, probably 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Really rattled my wife. So when we moved back to Pennsylvania years later, really didn't know which way to go with it. So just kind of put it to the side, put it up on the shelf, so to speak. And then I was watching a TV show one night, and it was about UFOs, and it bugged me. It just really started to bug me. So then I started to, accumulate paper and books and, going to little conferences here and there. And then I joined MUFON, became a chief investigator for the state of Pennsylvania, state section director, and I was a member of the STAR team. And wasn't getting any satisfaction there because you got to understand with MUFON, once the investigation or the contact is made with the person making the report is done, it goes into a CMS file, and that's where it stays. There's very seldom is there any follow-up done on cases, especially cases that you would consider to be not a big case, but small. A flap, yes, but something small, one and deal, no, didn't happen. So in 2009, I left MUFON, started my own group with a lot of like-minded researchers I had met over the years. Some of them have a whole lot more experience than I do. I'm at it 30 years. And got groups in 12 states and 2 countries overseas. And it's kind of worked out really good because we can follow up, and if something comes across my desk that I don't understand, or something comes across somebody else's desk they don't understand, we got a whole group of people that can decipher or put their 2 cents into it. Really works out well. And then about 5 years ago, I received my first cryptid report. Why? Fate, I guess. The guy just said he just picked something out of somebody in Pennsylvania, and he got us off the internet. And that was our first case with a bipedal canine, and we've had 58 till since then, all totaled. But I'm retired. I've been retired now since 2013, so I get to do this full time, and it's pretty cool. I like it. It's never dull, that's for sure.
I can tell that. Butch, you've investigated everything from these bipedal canines to paranormal stories, UFOs, cattle mutilations, everything that goes under the sun. If we look at the word paranormal as what it should be used as, which is a blanket word for the entire supernatural field. Is there a favorite that you have? I've never asked you this. In 3.5 years of doing this with you, I've never asked you what your favorite subject is to cover.
I guess my all-time favorite case that I did many years ago was human mutilation cases. And only one doing them. I was warned a couple times to stay away from it. With mainstream ufology, it's definitely a no-no. It's like the dark side of ufology. It was amazing to me what I did find, both here and overseas, and cases that were out there, but were just, I don't know, nobody was looking at them. And I think that those cases were the favorites because they were so intriguing in the aspect of what happened, how it happened. The best cases, of course, was the Brazil case, which anybody can look up online. They look up human mutilation, where there were actually photographs. Nobody messed with the body. The fishermen saw the body laying on an island. Instead of messing with anything, they went and got the police. Police showed up with a forensic team. So, the autopsy report, of course, was in Brazil. In that language, so I had to get that deciphered. And it led to horse mutilations, cattle mutilations, and tracing back in time, these mutilations, they go way, way, way back. And they kind of petered off in around 2002. Now, that doesn't mean they're not happening. It just means that, nobody's either finding the bodies or the government shut them down. But it is, it's really strange that they were never cattle mutilations were always covered. They've been covered all the time. But human mutilations, that was absolute, it just wasn't talked about. And it's probably my best investigations were the human mutilation cases. And every now and then I go back into the files and read them over, and then I start looking again, see if I can find something new. But like I said, about 2000, it was like 2002, 2003 that they petered out, and there hasn't been any new ones.
The first time I had you on, we talked about the human mutilations, and there's a statistic that you used on that show that I have never forgotten. Mm-hmm. And you had stated that the FBI, you had a source inside there, a very good friend, mm-hmm. who had told you, and please correct me if I'm wrong, since this is 3.5 years old, that there was something like 1.3 or 1.6 million people in the United States that go missing every year, and once that's whittled down for murders, kidnappings, runaways, people who just want to get lost and never be seen again, suicides, and everything is whittled down. It came down to something like 65,000 people a year in the United States go unclaimed in any of those categories. That's an amazing amount of people.
Yeah, it is averaged out. I haven't done one recently, but I did 10 years worth of FBI reports on missing persons, and it boiled down to approximately 5% every year are never found. So when you take the overall amount of people missing, and you deduct that 5% that are never found, it just seems that's a running total. It's like 5% all the time. And when I say never found, I mean never found. No clothing, no body, nothing. They're just gone. They're just not here. They're not on this earth. They're not anywhere around. But at the same time, that has happened in other countries where whole villages have disappeared. The one that sticks out a lot in my mind was there was a village in Kenya where I believe it was 165 people lived, men, women, children, old, young, and the men went off to work as they did every morning, and when they left the camp, everything was fine. Kids were there, old people were there, wives and babies, whatever. They came back in the afternoon, probably like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. They had left at pretty much daylight, and food was on stoves cooking. There were no animals. There were no people. I mean, it was gone. Everything there was gone. Buildings were intact. There was no signs of any, violence. Like I said, food was on the table. Child's toys were outside where they were when they left in the morning. I mean, everything was just normal, except all the people and the animals were gone. They just weren't there. And then you have other cases that we discovered when we started doing a lot of research on the missing persons, where you had there was kind of a little Arab outtake back in the early 50s. One Arab tribe fighting another Arab tribe, and the British Air Force sent up a spotter plane to keep track of what's going on, and that they don't get too carried away. And nobody could raise them on the radio, and then he sent out a search party, and the plane was found. And you could see they saw the footprints leading from the plane of the two pilots, and they just went off into a distance of about 25, 30 yards, and they vanished, and they've never been seen again. They started the plane up, plane fired right up, and they took the plane off and flew back to their base, so there was nothing wrong with the plane. So it's there's a lot of strange stories like that when you really start looking for them. But what it is or what is happening, kind of anybody's guess. I've had a lot of people say, well, they were taken. Well, yeah, I guess that's possible. Then I've had other people say, well, they walked into a portal, or they entered into a portal, or a time snap, or something like that. I guess all that stuff is possible, but it comes down to say that and to put it out there, you better have the evidence if you want people to believe you. And there really isn't any evidence. I mean, there's a village that's there in the morning, and at night the village is empty. So, I mean, it was investigated by police and military over there in Kenya, but they never came up with anybody either.
Well, there was also, I believe, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, that happened up here in Canada as well, with a northern Eskimo tribe up in the Nunavut area. And same thing, a gentleman went there, a trader went there to go trade items with the people. He had done things very often. It was a community of a few hundred, and they were all gone. There's no roads in, there's no runways, there's no major waterways there. They were all gone. The stoves were, the wood fires were still burning, the pots on the wood fires, the dogs were still outside, clothes were still hanging on the clotheslines, and they just disappeared. I mean, this isn't an uncommon practice.
No, and it's been reported all over the world. I mean, that Kenya case just sticks out because there were so many people there. But, I mean, it's happened in Europe. It's happened in Europe, another case that was kind of stuck me out there was a gentleman in a town, small town outside of London, one of like in the suburbs of London. And there was a jolly old gent. Everybody knew him. And, not that he was a town drunk or anything. He was just a well-liked old guy. And kind of his routine was pretty much the same every day. And then somebody noticed that his routine was changed because they didn't see him anymore. And I believe it was not quite a week. It might have been 5 or 6 days went by. And the body was located in a marsh, which was like 35 miles away from where he had his residence. And he was totally mutilated, just like a cow. Now, his wife, who was at home during this all, she's flat out disappeared. Nobody ever knew what happened to her.
Well, you know what? We maybe never know. When we look at these stories, okay, if you combine David Paulides' Missing 411, the investigations you have done, out of those 65,000 people, Butch, that we can claim go missing each and every year in the United States alone, what's your estimation of what is happening to them? Is it Bigfoot in the forest, like we hear with the Missing 411 cases? Is it Dogman? Is it aliens? Is it interdimensional beings? What's your thoughts and theories on this? I realize it's just opinion, but I'm curious.
Well, my opinion is that it's our space brethren. What would you do with 165 people, men, women, and children, and just take them from a village and nobody would know anything about it? I mean, there are other villages. There are roads. There were no tire tracks of any, like a truck came in and picked them all up and took them away for slavery or something like that. How did the gentleman in that suburb of London get 35 miles out into a marsh? I mean, when that happened, cars were relatively new. Not everybody had one. So certainly this guy was in his late or early 80s, I believe, and he surely didn't walk that far. So you have these cases of that have no answers. They're well documented, but they have no answers. And we can, as researchers and investigators, we can only speculate what could have happened. Now, David Paulides' work, which I admire a lot, he deems more on forest creatures involved in the missing cases. We've had 39 missing reports here in Pennsylvania over the years, and they were documented also by Dave. And not that they turned up missing. I mean, they were all found. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 never turned up. The rest of them were found. So you had 37 that were found and 2 that were never found. The 2 that were never found were young children. Now, that could be, you know, in the heavily wooded areas, so that could have been an animal attack and a carry-off. But you have some hunters, mostly older guys who went hunting. You know, they couldn't cut it, and heart attacks, or they got lost, and, you know, they were never found, and that kind of stuff. But David leans more toward something in the forest is taking these people. When you think about some of the reports where, you know, a man and his son are walking along a path, and the son goes over a little rise, and the father is, you know, like just a few feet behind him. He goes over a little rise, and the kid's gone, and he's never found again. He's never seen. There's nothing heard. There's no blood. There's no attack. There's nothing heard. The kid just disappears. So, are people walking into or walking through a portal and disappearing? Are they being taken? You know, most animal attacks, there's a lot of damage done. There's blood, you know, pieces here and there. But some of these cases are just so bizarre. And I know we had talked about this earlier before we got on air. You know, one of the weirdest cases, and I guess it's a 60-year-old case now, is the Dyatlov Pass incident. And I'm sure you have some of the listeners that are familiar with the Dyatlov Pass. But that case, you know, I must have 5 or 6 books on it. I talked to 2 of the Russian investigators over time. And it's just a weird case. And it's another one where you have a lot of information. This is going to sound really dumb. You have a lot of information, but you have no information, if you know what I mean. So you have a lot of evidence of what took place, but you have no evidence of how it took place.
Right.
So, you know, in a nutshell, in 1959, you had 9 experienced Russian cross-country skiers. 7 men and 2 women, and they were led by a guy named Igor Dyatlov.
Exactly.
They had
you know what, Butch? I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we're going to get more into the Dyatlov Pass right after the break on Butch Witkowski's Strange Days. Put the robe back on, Butch.
Okay.
You look more flattering. Second half hour coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Hello, this is your guitar man Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, welcoming you all to tonight's show. Remember, a great way to support this show is to go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, click on the store tab, do a little shopping, T-shirts, hats, hoodies, you name it, we got it at spacedoutradio.com. The final Monday of every month, Butch Witkowski comes in to talk about all the weird and strange with Strange Days. Butch, welcome back to the show.
Yes, sir.
We were getting into missing people and strange cases along that line in the first half hour. But one of our listeners actually piped up, messaged me privately, and said, I got to know about these weird staircases that people are finding in the forest. This story seems to be popping up more and more lately, like it's the new popular fad of going into the forest to try and find these staircases that are built solidly and just standing there going up into nowhere. What do you know about them?
Well, we did find one in central Pennsylvania, but it looked like it was a staircase that was built for a building. It was stone, very well built. And it was 16 steps, and a part of a wall was the only thing there. We found no foundation or anything. That was the strange thing that kind of struck us. There was no foundation or logs or rafters or anything laying around. It was just this partial wall and these steps. And to be honest with you, none of us walked up those steps because some of the cases that have been out there where people have walked up those steps, they don't come back down. I guess one of the more famous ones, I again believe that was up in New Hampshire or Rhode Island, one of those states up there, where a bunch of hikers came across a set of wooden steps that looked like, they were kind of built the day before yesterday, and out in the middle of the woods where there was really just a small walking trail. And the story goes that one of the hikers climbed to the top of the steps, and when he hit the top step, he disappeared, and he was never seen or found again. But now that's just a story. I mean, I don't know whatever took place with investigation because it was a very sketchy type of thing. But those steps in the woods have been reported all over the country. I mean, even out in the desert areas of the Southwest where, people be riding along or driving along and they see a set of steps out in the middle of nowhere. What it means, I have no idea. Some people say it's an entrance to a portal. Then one guy, I remember reading one report where a gentleman found a set of steps in the woods, and he went back the next day to take photographs, and the steps were gone. So, again, one of those mystery stories that there's just no answer for it.
Have you ever heard of anybody actually going up the stairs, seeing where they lead? Do they go to another dimension or portal?
No, some folks, there are some people that have climbed the steps and stairs and nothing's happened to them. And then there's some where people have climbed the steps and they disappear and they're not seen again. Then there's stories where steps are seen and, they go back to show somebody or take photographs or whatever and they're not there. So what the deal is with the steps, I don't think anybody knows because they really makes no sense when you think about it. Why would somebody go build a set of steps out in the middle of the woods? And I mean, we're not talking about they built them out of old trees and stuff. This is like fresh lumber or concrete or stone. Who does that? And first of all, how would you build concrete steps out in the middle of the woods, you know, where there's only a walking path. So how do you get a truck back there with concrete? Or who's going to carry concrete, you know, from an area where they park that might be a mile or two up the road? It just doesn't make any sense. But there are some photographs on the internet of steps in the woods.
Interesting. I would like to come across those, because I think with those stairwells, you know, if they're built on an old road or something, it's easy to be able to put together a story or fabricate something together, pardon me, that this may have been an old house or an old shack or something along those lines back in the day, and the stairwell is just sitting there creepily. But when you are like a lot of these people who are in literally the middle of nowhere, that they've walked into the forest for miles, and it doesn't even have to be that far, but in a very uninhabited area, finding these stairwells, I mean, that's right out of some sort of folklorish tale. I don't know if I'm going up there.
Well, and there are some that are found that are made out of metal. Now, had there been maybe an old factory or something there, you could understand that. But there's nothing there. I mean, no foundation, no building or anything like that, or any remnants of it. And then you have a set of metal steps. You know, it's just, I don't understand it at all. And I know they're seen. I mean, there's a lot of reports out there, but what they are, why they're there, I have no idea. I really don't.
Has there ever been any reports of these stairwells that have doors at the top of them?
No. Nope. They're all open staircases. They don't have hand railings. They're just steps, you know, and from some of the pictures I saw, kind of defy gravity, because it's just steps. There's no supports. There's nothing going down into the ground, you know, to hold them up. They're just there. I don't know.
How come they haven't fell in nature, or some of them even, like you mentioned, you've heard stories about them just disappearing.
Yeah, well, the stories about disappearing, I mean, there's quite a few of those, but if you find one of those on the internet, and just Google stairs in the woods or derelict stairs in the woods, will get you some pictures, and you see the steps. I mean, it's like if you had a 2-story house and you had steps from the outside going to the main floor or to the top floor, and you took the building away, you just left the step stand without any support. That's what they look like. There's no support. I mean, they're not attached to anything. So how are they standing there? That's the first thing that hits you when you look at it. Now, granted, they could be hoaxes. You know, I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they aren't. But, you know, like I said, we came across stone steps, but there was a wall there. So I'm assuming that, you know, there, at one time or another, there might have been a building or something there. And those steps were attached to the wall. So, but to be truthful, I didn't walk up them.
I don't know if I would have either. Don't know if I would have either, my friend. Around these stairways, has there been creatures seen, whether it's Bigfoot or gnomes or pixies or fairies, or is it just the stairwell sitting there by itself?
No, just a stairwell by itself. No reports that I've ever read where there was any outside influence, like, you know, Bigfoot or some type of creature or anything around them. Just, they're there.
Interesting. I would have think you would have seen or heard of reports of something being around there, because if indeed these stairwells are some sort of supernatural, you know, stairway heading to wherever it heads, you would think there would be a little bit more legend or folklore with the creatures around it.
Yeah, but you know, some of these stories, when the story got out or got to a newspaper or something like that, what happened was, you know, somebody said, "Well, I've lived there all my life. That was not there. You know, I never saw it, and I live right there." So, do these things appear and disappear? Do they move? I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, you know what? It's one of those mysteries, And we're going to get to another mystery that you wanted to chat with, because on Friday night we had Teddy Hayiska come on the show talking about the Dyatlov Pass. This is a case that you are very familiar with, the Dyatlov Pass, known as Devil's Pass in Russia, going back to January of 1959. Why does this case intrigue you so much?
I guess because there's so many theories about the case. I did get a hold of the autopsy reports a couple of years ago. My uncle translated those because he can speak Russian. It's a bizarre case, and then there's a lot of theories to it of what took place, what happened. But, you know, this group of 9 cross-country skiers are heading for the Mountain of the Dead. In the Mansi language, it's Kholat Sakal. But it was just they went for a rugged, wintry trek in the snow, you know, and on their way up, they got hit by some really bad weather. So they kind of veered off course. They decided to set up camp and wait it out. So, you know, pretty much all is calm. Everything's fine. They start taking pictures of each other, the camp, the scenery, the whole 9 yards. The weather isn't so bad, so they turn, go to sleep. But then something happens in the middle of the night, and all 9 of these people bail out of their tents from the inside. They cut their way out from the inside. They don't even untie the front flap. They just cut their way out. And they race out into sub-zero temperatures. No coats, boots, no skis. Most are in their underwear. You know, some are even barefoot. Or one was even found with a single sock and one boot. It's 30 degrees below 0 Celsius. So they get about kind of a kilometer away, halfway down the slope, and, you know, as you might expect in that temperature, they all die. And then that's where the story starts. So you got to wonder, you know, what made them rush out of that tent, not grab a coat or even a blanket? You know, did something come at them? There was a 3-month investigation by the Russian government, and they said they died from simple hypothermia. And they had no apparent trauma at all, no signs of attack, struggle, outward injuries of any kind. However, internal injuries were massive. Crushed chest, skulls, like they were hit by a car. Some were missing internal organs. They had no signs of external injuries whatsoever. I mean, somebody gets their skull crushed or their chest crushed, you know there's got to be some kind of external damage. The one woman was missing her tongue. It was, I think 2 of the bodies, it took 6 months to find 2 of them. The other ones were found pretty much within a matter of days, but 2 were found in a deep crevasse side by side. But they tested the clothing, and the clothing had extremely high levels of radiation. And even evidence found at the campsite indicated that some of the trekkers might have been blinded, you know, after seeing bright flying spheres that were also seen by the Mansi tribes, which live in that area. And relatives at the funeral, and the pictures prove it because they show pictures of the bodies at the funeral. They're dark orange and brown, and their hair was completely gray. But the final explanation from the government, which the lead investigator actually quit 4 days into the search for these bodies when they did find them, and then another investigator took over, and the autopsy report just kills me because I don't know what this means. Cause of death was not hypothermia. It was, the cause of death was an unknown compelling force. So now what the hell does that mean, an unknown compelling force? You know, they surely didn't get hit by a truck. There was no military bases even close by. No remnants of a test from a thermonuclear device. There was no avalanche. There was no animal attacks. There was just no logical explanation for why these people died. I mean, there was no sign of any natural disaster like, an avalanche, or one guy tried to say that it was some kind of wind vortex. Well, that didn't pay out either because the tent and everything else was still there. The camp was intact except for the tents where they cut their way out. The one guy, the one victim had burns, not had burns, but his clothing was actually singed. But that could have happened because they did have fires going inside their tents, little camp stoves. And maybe that's what happened to him. But, so was it some kind of Russian hellish weaponry that they were testing, or did these spheres that were seen in the air cause it? It's 60 years, and they still don't have an explanation. Now, over time, thank God for the Internet and somebody putting them on the Internet, but over time, all the case information has disappeared out of the Russian archives. The photographs of the bodies, the autopsy reports, the reports from the investigators that were on the scene, it's all gone. Now, it's all been preserved because somebody way back put it on the Internet, and in just the last few years that it disappeared. But I don't know. It makes you think. It's just not logical, the information, the condition of the bodies, and, the orange skin. I mean, normally a body that lays in snow and freezes, it goes black, okay? These bodies all had orange skin, and it shows in the color autopsy photographs. The skin is definitely orange, and the hair is almost gray, pure white. And another thing that was really weird that struck me when I saw the autopsy pictures for the first time, that while the one individual's eyes were missing and the one girl was missing a tongue, that could be a lot of things. But the rest of them that were dead all had their eyes open. Their eyes were wide open. Now, the guy that had his skull crushed, there's no way his eyes should have been open, but they were. And the massive injuries were just unbelievable. I mean, bones broken, smashed, shredded interiors. But the answer to that was the famous unknown compelling force, which nobody has been able to define that. An unknown compelling force.
What's your thoughts on a couple of things here, Butch? Number one, earlier this year, Russian prosecutors have reopened the case. And number two, going back to the fact that they can't figure out what it was, there was sightings of some sort of orbs, orangish and colorish orbs in the skies in that area when the hikers were there.
Yeah, the Mansi people, they went to the Mansi tribe first thinking the Mansi killed them, because the Mansi tribe, and not that they're indigenous, they're just a tribe of people that always lived on that mountain, and they just don't like people to come visit. And they have been known to murder people. So one intriguing fact was that, of course, they weren't murdered by the Mansi tribe. And second, which is not mentioned it's mentioned in the new investigation, but it was never mentioned in the old investigation from 59, where another group of 9 hikers disappeared in the same area 20 years prior to the 59 case. And nobody ever brought that up. And they were never found. Now, that's weird. That's weird. That's bizarre. To have the same amount of people missing in the same mountain during the same time of the year and nothing.
Interesting. We got about 2 minutes left before we got to go to break. So with no signs of anything like that, and we see these orbs that are around that same area, a lot of people would conclude that it's either flares, all right? There is, in that higher area, there is a Russian Eskimo type person up there that could have been using some sort of Chinese lantern sort of thing. I mean, what do you make of everything?
Well, I find it hard to believe that it was some kind of Russian test, because a thermonuclear device or death ray or whatever you want to call it, there would have been a lot of damage done to the outsides of these bodies. But these bodies, all their damage, all the things that killed them physically were inside, and there was no outside damage. In other words, like the guy with the crushed chest. I mean, to crush somebody's chest, I mean, I've investigated car accidents. Let me tell you something. It leaves a big mark. And these people had no marks on their bodies. They had the internal damage, and they had parts missing. But again, you fall back to that definition of that compelling unknown force. What does that mean? What's an unknown compelling force? I mean, if it was a hammer, it would leave a mark. A bullet would leave a mark. A lot of things would leave a mark. The one guy actually climbed a tree. They could see that there was torn clothing up the tree. He was trying to get away from something. And then you have the Yeti effect. The people said, well, it might have been, a Yeti or something like that. Well,
right,
the bodies weren't disturbed that way.
It's very strange. And Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to wrap things up in hour number 1 and look forward to continuing the discussion in hour number 2. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days happens the final Monday of every month right here on Spaced Out Radio. His website, uforcop.com. That's UFORCOP.com. If you want to check him on out. Hour number 2 of Butch Witkowski's Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio, coming up right after this. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, George and Ori here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Len Kasten joins us to talk about the reptilian agenda. What's it all about? 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we are on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Welcome all of you listening in. Don't forget, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What the hell is this? Steganophthalmata? Is that the password? I don't know, but the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. It's a great way to support this show. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. The final Monday of every month, we bring in Butch Witkowski from UFOcop.com out of Pennsylvania. He's the creator and lead investigator of UFOcop, and we bring him here for Strange Days. Butch, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Right before the break, we were talking about the Dyatlov Pass incident. I mean, this is a case that has just been reopened. Are you surprised the Russians reopened this case?
I think the families had a lot to do with it. They had retained some lawyers a couple of years ago, and they really pushed it, and I believe that the Russians, equivalent to our Supreme Court, allowed them to open up the case. But I think pretty much all researchers right now are ruling out that it was anything caused by Russian military testing or, that kind of stuff, only because pretty much everybody understands that if it would have been anything military, Russian military, or Russians testing some new weapon or something like that, they never would have searched for those bodies. They would have just let them lay and just wrote the thing off like, hey, these 9 people were here, we found the tent, but we didn't find any bodies and they're gone, so end of story.
I think there is something very strange that happened there. I don't think it is something human. However, there wasn't, to dispel rumors, there was no Yeti prints found or strange animal prints found. I think I lean more towards the extraterrestrial type.
The 3 guys that really did in-depth investigations, I can't even pronounce their names, but I have their books. They pretty much all came to the same conclusion, too, that it was something not of the earth, that because actually in the one photograph that they took, because they were taking pictures, like I said before, of each other, the camping area, them sitting around eating, doing whatever they were doing. And in the one picture, there is a mark in the sky. One researcher says it's a blotch on the film. Another researcher says, no, it's not. It's something in the picture. And it looks just like a dot, a sphere, an orb. And so it's an interesting case, but, you're dealing with Russians, and, they're very secretive. I don't know what's going to come out of the new investigation. the original investigator, the one that left early on, and nobody understands why he left. There was never any mention of why he left the case. But 4 days into the case, he just packed it up and said, "I'm done. I'm out of here," and he took off. He's passed away, so he's not of any help. And he wasn't talking anyway. From the day he left to the day he died, he never said a word about the case. The original documents had gone missing. I think the case was reopened on documents that had been copied over the years. But it's a very strange case, and an animal attack is definitely out of the question because of the type of wounds. All the wounds were internal. There were no like claw marks, scratch marks missing, like ripping off arms. There was none of that stuff. But no Wookiees or anything running around. But the Mansi had said on a number of occasions throughout the 60 years that this thing's been going on that it's happened before. But you got one guy missing eyes. The girl was missing her tongue. The orange body, the high radiation on the body and the clothing. That's weird. They were buried in lead. They were actually buried in lead coffins.
I'm surprised that we have never heard of any stories of remote viewers looking in on this case to try and see what happened in the past, or astral travelers or something along those lines. I realize that's hopping on the woo train very, very heavily, but why not? Why not try and figure it out?
Well, it's possible that there have been, viewers looking into it, but whatever progress they made or did made was never published.
Would you send a team of remote viewers out there to look at it?
Well, you wouldn't need to send a team out. All you need to do is give them the coordinates. They can sit in their living room and do it.
True.
I've had one involvement with a remote viewer, and it wasn't my case. I was involved in it as a background researcher in the case, but it was weird because I was at the site. I knew the site. I had photographed the site. I had walked the site. And we gave that information to a group of viewers. They usually work in teams of 3. None of them were in this country. Matter of fact, one was in Australia, one was in Europe, and the other one was, I forget where she was, one of the islands. But anyway, we just gave them the coordinates. We gave them no information about what was where the house was, where any landmarks were, no roads, no location whatsoever. We just gave them the coordinates. You'd be amazed what they sent back. I mean, proper location of the house, the residence, the road, mountain area, everything was proper. It was right on the get-go.
Couple questions coming in from the audience for you, Butch. Tripp is asking, do you know if any of the water was tested? Were their stomach contents observed? The hallucinogenic Amanita muscaria, the red and white toadstool mushrooms coming in that area, being winter, could they have eaten some that went to cause a bad trip or something like that?
Well, I guess it's possible, but in the autopsy report, their last meal was basically a soup and some black bread, and that was the stomach contents. There was no booze. Yeah, that was it. There was no drugs, like marijuana, or they weren't smoking anything. When they emptied their pockets from their clothing and stuff, they've had, the basic stuff you would have been carrying out in the woods, like matches, pocket knife,
right?
That kind of stuff. There was nothing found that was out of the ordinary.
Okay, let's get to Michael's question in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, and we welcome Nicholas to the chat room as well. Thank you for listening on in. Penman is asking you, what about the radiation?
Well, that was, they all belong to, they all went to school at the Polytechnic Institute, at one of the Polytechnic Institutes. Two of those gentlemen worked with radiation in a lab, but they said that they wore protective clothing, and they were tested coming in, going out, so they really wouldn't have had anything on them. But the radiation readings on all the bodies, not just one or two, all the bodies, was very high. And they checked the area, according to the investigative notes, they checked the whole area for uranium deposits or anything given off that type of radiation, and they found nothing. But the clothing definitely had, the clothing and the bodies definitely had a high concentrate of radiation.
Do you think that radiation came from the area as well?
They did, one of the investigators had gone back, I think 2 years later, during springtime or summertime, where the access to the mountain was pretty good, and they were doing a lot of testing to see if they could pick up any radiation. They picked up nothing on the mountain, and then they went down to the area where the campsite was in the tree line, and they found no radiation there either. But it's just a lot of questions and not a lot of answers.
And there still is. There is way more questions than answers in this entire investigation. And, we can look at the same thing over on this side of the pond with some of the strange things that have happened over here, Butch. I mean, you look at parks like Yosemite where people are just disappearing. And we've talked about that the last couple of times you've been on the air with us, or communities and villages disappearing. And there is a lot of strange out there that is happening. And as a former police officer, I realize that looking into the strange, when it comes to a case of, say, a missing persons or missing children, you don't go looking at Bigfoot or aliens or UFOs or anything cryptid to come up with that answer. You look for the positive. Okay, what are the clues to try and lead us to the son of a gun who did this? But on the flip side, there's enough strange and weird going on that has been reported. How do you draw the line now as part of U4COP in deciding what is woo and what is actually true?
Well, true, you have to have proof and you have to have evidence. That's the first thing you have to have. One of the things now that myself and a number of researchers are looking into is like these reports of sightings of Bigfoot after or before or after a bright flash of light in the woods. And then there are some reports where no creature of any type is seen, but there is a bright flash in the woods. Now, nobody knows what the bright flash is. And of course, when you say that there's a bright flash of light and then there's a creature seen, and then there's another bright flash and the creature is gone, well, of course, you have the right off the bat, you have people talking about, well, it's a portal, or, they're stepping in time or back to time, or they're appearing or disappearing on their own with some magical power or whatever. So that right now is, as far as in Bigfoot research, is a big thing. The bright flashes of light, and then a creature is seen, or there's a bright flash of light and it disappears. Nobody knows what that is. We had one case with a bipedal canine where the gentleman described the creature when it stood up, and they got a good look at it as they approached it with their car with their high beams on, a silverish aura around the creature. Now, that could have been, it was a dewy night, so that could have been dew on the fur, and the bright lights just, from the high beams just illuminated that edge of the fur and made it look like an aura. But they said, no, it wasn't that. It was light. It was definitely light. So I don't know what light is coming about, what that means. It's the only case that we had, but there are a lot of cases out there like that where, there's a bright flash and the creature appears, and there's a bright flash and the creature's gone. But you have the same things with even with tracks. When people are tracking, they'll have a long section of tracks not a bipedal, but of a Bigfoot, and then the tracks stop. Out in the middle of a field, they just stop. But there's a clear line from one point to another that are unbroken, same gait, everything else same size, and then they just stop. So where to go? There's so much information out, and there's so much we don't know. So much. It's absolutely amazing that there are so many people out there looking, and there's so much information. And to be honest, we don't know squat. We really don't.
We really don't, in regards to what is actually out there and why this is happening. So when you are investigating these reports as part of UFORCOP, obviously your job, even though it's a strange report coming in, you deal with the obvious right off the bat. What could it be that is potentially human, just to rule it out?
Correct. Yes.
So take us through that process. Let's say a Bigfoot call comes in.
Okay, well, of course you take all the information and you try to get out to the scene as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, and I have to throw this in there, when you get a Bigfoot report, it's usually an old report. It's something that somebody saw when they were a kid, or it's something that they saw 2 months ago, or, everything's past. The time has passed to get out there and really, look for prints, look for hair, look for anything that shouldn't be there. You're hampered right off the get-go with your investigation. And I attribute a lot of those reports to people not believing what they saw. They saw something, they know what it looked like, and they go home and they think about it, Before you know it, a week or 2 or 3 has passed, and then they decide to report it. So, and that's pretty much 99% of the cases that you get. It's always after the fact. Now, that being said, we have had cases where there's a sighting, and it was yesterday, and we were there within 5 hours. We saw the tracks. We did what we have to do. We took the photographs. We did the measurements. We did all that stuff. But you have I guess the ones that are strange or have been strange to us are the one where the gait, this distance in steps is unbelievable. It's not human. I mean, no human can do that without, jumping. And if a human would do that and take a 5-foot gait, first thing would be the heel would dig in, when they took that step. Where these steps are just like if you or I would walk across fresh snow, you'd have an even footprint, right?
Right.
These things, you have, when you have a 5-foot gait and you have a footprint, for a human to do that's pretty much impossible. The average gait on a person is between, male and female, between 28 and 36 inches. So when you have something that's 5 foot, you're talking about a 60-inch gait. That's big gait. So that's not human. And then...
unless you're an NBA star.
Yeah, right. But you have... I have a lot of prints in my library, a lot of casts. And the one that always intrigued me was, I have Patty's print, and I have all these other prints, and some are, I have some in there that are 15 inches long. And then I have one, which is, they say, a copy of the Yeti print. And it's much smaller. It's only, it's my size, it's 12 inch. It's much wider than the other ones, but it's much in length shorter. Now, Dr. Jeff Meldrum says that the cause for that, why the Yeti print is wider and shorter, is because of its it's in the snow, rocky and mountain areas and snow, where it probably over time has developed a smaller, wider foot to get around, almost like wearing a snowshoe. So I guess that kind of makes sense, but there's just so much that we know. And like I said, we really, when it comes down to it, we don't know anything. I mean, there are so many sightings. Now, if you look at the descriptions, just the descriptions of Bigfoot, the description of a Bigfoot, let's say from British Columbia, is different from a Bigfoot here in Pennsylvania. Size, color, shape of the head, arm length, a lot of things. If you take that and go and say you could take down to Florida, much smaller, thinner, longer arms, more ape-like, Yeti, much broader, shorter, but much more muscular, shorter legs, but muscular, more muscular. Not so much any representation of a neck area. So there's just so many different types. And the Yowie down in Australia, totally different, looks more like a gorilla, but much taller, more muscular in the upper chest area, but much thinner from the waist down. It comes down to this. We need a body. We need to have a body. And these folks that claim that they have DNA from a Bigfoot, that's a load of crap, because first of all, you have to have something to compare the DNA with. So if you've already got one that you got the DNA from, why are you testing the DNA from something that you just found?
True that.
You got to have DNA. So there's got to be a body first to get the DNA, or something to get the DNA, whether it's hair or scat or urine or whatever. But you got to have that first, and nobody's ever found that. I mean, there's a lot of folks that claim that they have DNA or they've had DNA, but they've all proved to be hoaxes, or the DNA was just totally wrong. But I will tell you this: there's something out there. There is something out there. Just like with the bipedal canines, all those descriptions are the same. They don't leave the lichen loop research area. We've got a newspaper article from 1868 describes the same exact creature up in Erie, Pennsylvania. So there's something out in the woods. What it is, we have no idea. Is it a cause for some of these folks that are disappearing? It could be.
Well, let's leave it right there here, my friend. Let's leave it right there as we're going to step out here at the bottom of the hour. Butch Witkowski comes in here every final Monday of the month for Strange Days with Butch Witkowski from UFOrcop.com. That's UFORCOP.com. His next appearance will be Monday, April 29th. We'll be back with more Butch Witkowski's Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. We have Butch Witkowski's Strange Days, which happens the final Monday of every month. Before we bring Butch back in, we do want to remind you a great way to support this show is by doing a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. Click on the shop tab. We got t-shirts. We got hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, you name it, we got it. Go check it on out today. Butch comes in, like I said, the final Monday of every month. His website, uforcop.com. That's uforcop.com. Butch, welcome back.
Yes, sir. Now what are we going to talk about?
Well, you know what? We've now transferred through the what is it, the spring equinox? Is that what it is? I always get the solstice and equinox mixed up here. And we are now 4 or 5 days into spring, and the snow is melting, if it hasn't already melted in most areas of North America. But up here, we're actually starting to see ground again. And I know the snow is over now when they have the street Zambonis going up, picking up all the excess salt on the sides of the highways and roads. So that was a good sign today. You know, it's finally over, that you survived another winter. But Butch, this is where people start to go outside. This is where people, you know, never mind people who go camping or hiking or, you know, any type of outdoors backwoods activities. But this is where people start getting interested, that they want to start looking for Bigfoot. They want to start looking for Dogman. It's easy to sit there and say, how do we do it? You know, or let's just go out in the forest. We'll take our vehicles out up on some logging roads or some backwoods roads, and, you know, we'll make some sounds, we'll bang some trees, and if we get some reaction, we can all giggle about it. Right? Or whatever it may be, whatever reason they have. But let's go right to the amateur side of things here, Butch. If you have people coming up to you saying, I really have a passion for learning about Bigfoot. I had an experience, say, 12 years ago, and it's been with me ever since. I now have time that I want to get into this. I want to learn what it's all about. What kind of advice do you give people? Because it's not only about looking for this creature, but mainly it's about safety.
Yes. Well, first of all, I always tell people, you know, don't go out alone. That's number one. Always tell somebody where you're going to be. Have some kind of communication, cell phone or something, that you can get back to people or they can get to you. You never know what's going to happen. Pick out your research area. Don't, you know, if you had, say you had a sighting at a certain, like a small lake area, that's where you want to research. You know, you don't want to go to the next county. So you want to pick out your research area, do a little background research on the area, see if there were other sightings in that area. There are a lot of databases for Bigfoot. And, of course, safety is absolutely number one. Make sure that you know what's in the woods in your area. Now, there are some places you can go, there's nothing in the woods. I mean, birds, squirrels, that kind of stuff. But then there are things in other areas where those things that are in the woods can eat you. And they have no qualms about doing that whatsoever. So you have certain things that you really need to have with you. If you're going to be going out and the weather's, starting to get warm, you need to dress accordingly because, as the sun goes down, it does get cold. I don't recommend anybody going out at night that is not experienced. That's just a lot of trouble waiting to happen. Small groups, 4 is good. Don't get too far away from your vehicle. Make sure somebody knows where you're going to be. If you have nobody to advise on something like that, notify your local police department or state police. Tell them where you're going to be. Tell them what you're doing. They'll probably laugh at you, but tell them anyway. Small first aid kit, snake bite kit's good to carry. Definitely a knife. If you're going into an area that you're unfamiliar with, but you do know that there's things in there that will have you for lunch, a weapon is advisable if it's legal. A lot of it's common sense. You should have a camera. You should have binoculars. You should have a compass or a GPS. There's a lot of GPSs you can load right on your phone for free. So it's a lot of common sense stuff, but the biggest thing is, you want to have things with you that provide substance, something to drink, a little something to munch on. But then again, you need to have something to take a footprint with. If you do find a print, you want to be able to cast it. So you can buy casting kits. You can make up your own with plaster of Paris. We use dental stone because that's easier. It's lighter to pack. Keep a bottle of water to mix, and you're good to go. But where a lot of people really screw up, and when I say screw up, I mean big time. They go in there, they have nothing. They don't have water. They don't have proper clothing. They don't even carry a pocket knife. They're just out there rummaging around with a stick, whacking on trees and stuff. And throwing, and if they do take food, they're throwing it all over the place. Well, a black bear can sense food for miles. So if you're throwing out McDonald's cheeseburgers all over the place, you may attract what you don't want to show up. Stay out of caves. You have to, even though it's, you're doing it like as an amateur, you're not, you're not going out like we go out with all the equipment and stuff that we have, vehicles and all that stuff. I mean, usually it's like you said, it's just like people want to go out and hunt for Bigfoot. Well, that's okay if you're safe. You make you give it some thought before you go. People say, well, they want to go out and stay overnight. Well, if you're going to go out and stay overnight, you're going camping. You're not going out looking for Bigfoot, because people that go out looking for Bigfoot at night are not camping. They're walking around. They're doing their thing. But the most important thing is to have a research area. Pick it out. Don't be wandering all over the side of a mountain. I mean, if something is seen, by a lake or a pond, that's where you want to be looking. That's where you want to have your camera set up. That's where you want to have binoculars and looking around. And the fires, a lot of people, I hear them say, well, what kind of torch should I use? Well, you shouldn't have a torch. What do you want to run around with a torch in the woods for? If it's dry, you're just going to burn the place up. A good flashlight is all you're going to need. And again, the most important thing is please be aware of what is in those woods before you go walking in there. I mean, this past year, we've had, look, how many attacks from cougars, mountain lions, bear attacks. Hell, that one lady down in North Carolina, they still haven't figured out what ripped her apart. They haven't got a clue. So safety is number one. That is the number one thing out of everything. Read other reports before you go. See what people are doing, how they're doing it. What you can get on YouTube to see how to make a cast. Not everybody knows how to make a cast, and there is a trick to it. I mean, you could wind up with just a watery white mess on the ground. There's YouTube videos on that. On our website, I have in one of our newsletters, there's a thing there, a whole thing how to make a cast, what to do, and how to do that, how to set up your camera, what type of camera. And I'm not talking about a $5,000 Nikon out there. I mean any decent camera that you could pick up at Best Buy or any of the big box stores, for $20-$30, that's fine. Make sure it's digital. Film doesn't work out too well. There's carrying bear spray is a good idea. I think the last time we bought bear spray was like $15 a can. It's just common sense stuff. But if you're going to do it, be serious about it. I mean, if you're going out to play it, then just go to the local park. But if you're going out looking for something that's big and nasty, and there's other things out there that are big and nasty, not to mention the stuff that crawls on the ground that's nasty, you want to be prepared for that stuff. You want to give this some thought before you do it. It's just, we've been doing this a long time, and we still take all those precautions. So it's
when
just
it comes
safety.
when it comes to the creature, how much do you need to know about Sasquatch or Dogman before you go out there? And what are the keys of knowing about them?
Well, you can get a lot of information off the net on Bigfoot reports. They're seen running, they're seen standing still, they're seen, in the water, or, they're seen fishing, they're seen on mountain tops, mountain edges, heavily wooded areas. They're all over the place. I mean, you're going to read face-to-face encounters. I've yet to read a report where a Bigfoot killed anybody. I've never found a report like that. Bipedals, different story. You don't have to look for them. They will find you. They show no fear. That's number one. Every report we have says the same thing when they're encountered. They're not afraid of people with guns. Everybody gets that same feeling when they see one, and they do have a weapon that if I use this gun, it's going to get real bad real quick, so you don't want to do that. Another thing that a lot of people, coyotes are all over the place. They're all over North America, and here in Pennsylvania and along the New York border and going out toward Michigan and Wisconsin and stuff like that. We have a thing called coy wolves, which is a wolf, a real wolf, usually a gray wolf and a coyote mate, and you get a coy wolf. Big, nasty. They travel in groups just like wolves. If you encounter one, head for a tree. They travel in packs of 8 to 10. They hunt just like a wolf, where you may encounter a wolf head on, but if you're not looking behind you, the rest of them are already there. And they can be very dangerous and kill you very quick. And they can bring down a deer, a running deer, just as same as a wolf. So there's, if the person's not, if the people going out are city folks, they better do a lot of reading on what it's like in the woods before they go out and do this. Now, if you were born and raised in the country and you're familiar with the woods, you know what's out in the woods, you're pretty much okay that way because you already have the knowledge that you need. But unfortunately, a lot of these groups that are springing up everywhere, seems, are people that, they live in Brooklyn, or they live in New York City, or they live in Philadelphia, or they live in Sarasota, Florida, big towns. and they're out running around in swamps, and they're running around, the woods. They have no idea. They wouldn't know what to do. Taking a first aid course is a good idea. I mean, you can twist or break an ankle, fall and bust an arm. I mean, there's doesn't always happen, but if it does happen, you should have some knowledge of what to do, how to take care of somebody. Cutting firewood, you could axe yourself. There's a whole lot of things that go wrong. Just remember that for everything that could go right on a trip, that's as much as everything that could go wrong in a millisecond. So I always tell people, just be prepared before you go. Do your homework. Make sure you got the right gear with you. Even though it's a nice sunny day, you may want to take a poncho. They're very inexpensive. They're very light. And, it's... watch, even when you're going to the area, really map it out, looking, get a topographical map. Look for swamp areas and areas you don't want to get involved in. Make sure you have an entrance in and an entrance out. Know where the nearest houses are, where you could get help if you needed help in a hurry.
And what if you? Yes. And what if you were to say run into a Sasquatch? Say you're coming around this bend on this trail, and all of a sudden you look up on the ledge, or you look down into the valley below you, and boom, there it is. What do you do?
Well, if you've never seen one before, everybody's just going to stare at it. I mean, if it's somebody that's been out there looking, they're going to start taking pictures. I read a report where one idiot started throwing rocks at one, and I'm thinking, that was a bad move. So you got to remember, even though there's, again, no proof, again, I will say there is something out there. What it is, we don't know. We don't know how it's going to react. You could be mistaken standing up Bigfoot to be a standing up black bear. That could be a real disaster. So it's a knowledge base that you really have to build into your skull before you go out and do this. I mean, plan for every stupid contingency you could think of, even if you're only going out for a couple hours. I deal with researchers that go out every weekend. Friday night, man, they're gone. They're gone Friday night, Saturday night, and coming home Sunday. And they do it every weekend, rain, snow, sunshine. It doesn't matter. They're out there. There are very few guys that do that anymore. But when somebody, I'm using the word amateur, and I don't mean that to belittle anybody, but when you have somebody going out in the woods that doesn't know anything about the woods, there are so many things you have to watch out for. Here's a prime example. It would have been not last summer, summer before last, here in Pennsylvania. Two guys were out. I forget what they were tracking. It wasn't Bigfoot. They were tracking something. I think they were tracking pre-season deer or something, and never been in the woods before. They had weapons with them. And the one guy saw this cluster hanging from a tree that he thought was some kind of a fruit. Now, this guy was inner city Philadelphia, and he butted it with his rifle. It was a hornet's nest.
Hey.
He didn't die, but his partner did.
That's not very nice.
No. So there are things out there that they don't have to be really big to kill you, know what kind of snakes are in your area. That's another thing. Here where I live and where our research area is, we have timber rattlesnakes, we have brown snake, we have copperheads. So, we're aware of that. But if you're not aware of that, you could walk through a pile of leaves. There could be a whole nest of copperheads in there. You'd never see them. They look exactly like the leaves. Same thing.
It is dangerous indeed. It is dangerous indeed.
people sit down on an outcropping of rocks and they go, oh, this is comfortable. They could be sitting on, underneath those rocks is an opening, and underneath that opening is, a venomous snake. So it's just a lot of things that they have to do to learn the woods part of it before they go out and do the hunting part of it. And if they don't know what to do, get on the internet and find a Bigfoot researcher in your area. There's got to be one. If you're looking for Bigfoot, you got an idea that there's Bigfoot around, or you read stories, talk to that person, or send them an email, or just get on. And there's a lot of sites on the internet. Start reading about how these guys go, what they research, how they do it, what they take with them, and that should get you through. But don't be a dumbass and go out there and just, you're out there in flip-flops and shorts and a T-shirt, and you're stomping around in the woods. That's not good.
Well, I mean, like I said, there is a danger into everything, and we got about 90 seconds here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. So, Butch, in regards to that, if you were to come across one of these creatures, do you back away? Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm following it, I'm chasing it, I'm going to take that winning photo or the next Patterson-Gimlin film.
No, I'd just stay there and watch it. It's not going to come toward you. It'll probably just walk away from you. You got your camera, take your pictures. Excuse me. Chasing it is not a good idea.
No.
When anything's getting chased, automatically it thinks it's being hunted. And you don't want that to happen.
No.
If you walked around the bend and came face to face with one, I'd just stand there and stare at it. I wouldn't do anything at all. I'd just stare at it and hope that it looks at me and goes like, "Man, you're ugly," and walk away. I'm not
with you,
anything.
my friend. Not with you. You are the model of cryptozoology, my friend. You are the model. So don't be going there, buddy. Don't be going there. Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on here as we are through 2 hours with Butch Witkowski's Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. We got Butch for another 30 minutes before we are going to break in to the news with the SOR Newswire and then the Thought of the Dave, because we got some good ones today, my friends. Oh, they're good. Remember, Butch's website is uforcop.com. If you have a sighting or you just want more information, check out his website. Butch will be back with me, Dave Scott, for the next half hour here right after the break. Stay tuned.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Always a pleasure to have you along the way with us. Tomorrow night on the program, The Reptilian Agenda. Author, researcher Len Kasten is going to join us for the first time on this show, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We also are on KDUN, AM 1030. In Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX in Ridgecrest, California, 93.7 FM, and in New Orleans, UPRN 107.7 FM. So it's good to have all of you with us. On the digital side, we are on Revolution Radio, Deep Talk Radio. We welcome all of you listening in. Remember, all of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Stegan Ophthalmata. Stegan Ophthalmata is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more. For the final time tonight, we introduce Butch Witkowski. Butch comes in from UFO Cop, based out of Pennsylvania in the United States. And of course, he is with us the final Monday of every month. His next appearance will be on Monday, April 29th. Mr. Butch, welcome back to the show.
I want to hear you say the password 3 times fast.
Not a hope in hell, my friend. Not a hope. Not going to happen. Absolutely not. I'm done with the password for tonight. It's already forgotten. But that's just the way it goes around here. Hey, Butch, last month and the month before, there were a couple of interesting stories coming out of North Carolina. One where a young boy went missing, said he was with a bear, and that's what saved him for a couple of days out in the wilderness. And then a few weeks later, an elderly lady was absolutely mauled and ripped apart by a creature that still, as far as I can tell, is unknown. Have you had any updates in regards to that?
On the boy, they still have no idea what took care of him that evening. The woman, they've taken all kind of tests, and they haven't got a clue what tore her apart. And the thing is, she wasn't eaten; she was just ripped apart.
Wow. How come after this amount of time we don't have anything more concrete with this?
It's kind of strange because usually, on any type of attack, they can tell by saliva, bite marks, claw marks, all that kind of stuff. But with this lady, I mean, she was pretty much just like the article said, and the one report said, she was just torn apart. I mean, like ripped limb from limb. They really don't have a clue. They've had forensic guys on it. They've had animal forensic guys on it. They've had veterinarians look at they really have no idea what killed that woman. And as far as the boy, everybody's saying the same thing. It was no bear that took care of that kid. I mean, a black bear this time of year, we would have looked at that kid like a hors d'oeuvre.
True. Very true. Bears are hungry and cranky at that time of year if they're still awake and not hibernating, or they've been woken up.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very dangerous animal in the wintertime. Very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a case that we should still be following?
Yes, I think we should. Now, it's like there's a researcher down there that's been following it a lot closer than anybody else because it's right down his alley. You know, he doesn't live too far from where this event took place. Matter of fact, he was one of the searchers out looking for the boy. And he said that the kid's pretty much forgotten everything when he's asked about it now. But he's a kid. I mean, he's just a little guy. And but I guess everybody's kind of hoping that when he gets a little older, he'll be able to describe what happened a little better. Right now, he's just sticking with a bear. A bear took care of him, kept him warm. And
yes.
By all accounts, the weather and everything, the way he was dressed and stuff, the boy should have died. He should have been killed by hypothermia, and he was not. Matter of fact, his body temperature wasn't that far off.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Absolutely, it's a complete miracle that they were able to find him alive. And the one thing that still intrigues me about that story is how quickly they were able to rule out the fact that he was kidnapped and then brought back to that location.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, everything that you normally would have thought, like kidnapping or the kid got lost, and I mean, none of that made sense because where he was found. And the one police officer said that, they had a heck of a time just getting into him because he was pretty much in a pile of bramble. And he said that kid didn't have a scratch on him. So was he picked up and taken in there and put in there and kept warm? Nobody knows. It's just one of those things where, I don't know. I don't know.
I got a question.
Strange.
Yeah, go ahead. I got a question from Tim here. I got a question from Trip here in the chat room regarding this. He is saying he's still wondering why the sheriff hasn't tried to question the person that actually called in giving the kid's location. I mean, who the hell leaves a kid alone in the vines knowing people are looking for the child, leaves him alone to call into the police?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I saw that statement, and that makes no sense at all. That's like something you get from an empath. But it's weird. That whole case is weird. The kid's story is weird. It's just, it's Nikki just said it perfectly. It's bizarre.
Yeah, well, it is bizarre because we don't know. And even if the kid did give up, whether they put him through hypnotherapy or some sort of child psychological testing, to get it away from a bear, it's amazing that I don't think that'll ever be released. Even in a FOIA request, I don't think that'll ever be released because, let's face it, they're not going to come out and say it was a Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. And pretty much everybody has ruled out a bear. That makes no sense whatsoever. Not a bear.
In that area, since that incident and the strange incident with the lady dying, has there been any reports since then of cryptid type activity?
No, none. And there's folks down there. I mean, that particular area, there are a lot of researchers in that area, Bigfoot researchers and stuff. and nobody has. There's been no reports of any in the area before or after.
Interesting.
Which even makes it weirder.
Yeah, absolutely, completely interesting. Very interesting. Gail has a question for you from the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. And she is asking, Butch, have you ever found the coordinates to the Dyatlov Pass? And would you ever pass them on to people who remote view?
That's been done a number of times already. The coordinates are available on the internet. There's actually a really good map on the internet of the Dyatlov Pass, and the coordinates are there. I'm trying to think, about 2 years ago, there was 2 remote viewers from, I believe, Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was Quebec that were working on it. I don't know what they got. I don't know that they published anything on it. I think there's been a number over the years of remote viewers that have tried that, and there's really nothing ever came out about it, so they probably didn't get anything. But that would be an ideal place to do that.
Do you think the area could be locked down to any type of remote or astral travel due to the fact that we do know that, countries like Russia do have psychic warfare teams?
Oh, yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. A matter of fact, they actually closed down that area to any hikers. I think it was either 5 or 7 years, for 5 or 7 years after the event took place, and nobody was allowed in there. But that was lifted, so there have been people going there. Most of the people who go there are kind of like amateur researchers and investigators, trying to see what they can find. But the thing that's really a grabber is that the time prior where the 9 hikers disappeared before this 9 hikers just, were found dead. That's kind of weird.
Getting back to this side of the border, and we know about this story with what's happened in North Carolina. In regards to springtime and the cryptid search beginning, and last hour we talked about, people going into the field for the first time. What should they be looking for? What do they do if they encounter something like a Bigfoot?
Mm-hmm.
The outdoors isn't for everybody. So let's say somebody can't get outdoors, or they have a fear of going out there because they don't have the people to go with. Okay, there's a lot of lonely people out there, a lot of introverts or people like that. How could they go about getting quality Bigfoot or Dogman type information?
There are a number of databases. If they search Bigfoot, just the word Bigfoot, in Washington State and Oregon, there's a ton of sites up there that they can wander through and pretty much get all the information they want, past reports, current reports, Class A sightings, the researchers. There's a number of those sites also have YouTube connections where you can actually go along with them on their investigations. I would tell them to do that. I mean, if they're not going to go out, but they want to know and they want to see, that those are the places to go. But those sites are. There is one site in Pennsylvania, but it's not very good. The guy doesn't publish very often. But out there in the Oregon and Washington State area and Northern California, there's a couple. They're very good sites, and they go from telling you what kind of equipment they use to the actual what they do, how they set up traps, camera traps, and gifting and all that stuff. So they're interesting sites.
So getting back to the cryptid side, let's take Bigfoot and Dogman away, because that's the popular features that everybody's going to be going out for. What other cryptids are out there, Butch, that you think that people should be paying attention to as well? Is it fairies? Is it gnomes? Is it gargoyles or wood nymphs or what do you think?
Well, over time, and I'm going to say this goes back a lot of years. There was reptilians were being seen. There was underground dwellings where they said Bigfoot, and we had here in Pennsylvania we had some reptilian sightings out in the western part of the state, but they didn't pan out in cave areas. The bright lights, the flashes. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there that's just crazy. I mean, people are seeing everything in the woods. Now, granted, a lot of it is misidentification. You get somebody that lives in the city all their life and a deer runs through the woods and they'll tell you, they saw Bigfoot, they saw this, they saw that. There's just a lot of strange things that people see that really aren't there. Tree moss is another one. Feral dogs are all of a sudden wolves. It's just to be in the woods. You got to know what you got to have some kind of familiarity with what you're looking for and what's out there. I mean, it's kind of like beating a dead horse if you've never done anything, you've never been in the woods, or you have no idea what you're doing. You're just taking a walk is what it boils down to. But like I keep saying, there's and a lot of us are saying it, and there's something out there. We don't know what it is. I don't know that Bigfoot is any more real than the bipedals, but you can't call everybody a liar either. I mean, people are seeing something. I've sat with grown men who saw the bipedal and were sitting there on the bed of my truck crying. So, whatever's out there is real. The idea now is to just prove it's there. And I still say the only way we're going to prove it is with, FLIR cameras, because every camera that's been taken of Bigfoot is blurry. Nobody's taken any pictures of a bipedal canine or a dogman. So it's going to be something where it's going to be a camera trap, with infrared or FLIR. I'm pretty sure that's the only way we're going to get any photographs of anything like that.
Butch, we got about 5 minutes left here with you, and I want to get to Nikki's question. And she is asking, are there any facilities that are for true scientific research or something of that nature?
Where?
In North America, looking into this stuff.
Like
like we know Dr. Jeff Meldrum is, but outside of him, who's out there that's credible?
There's a couple research teams down in South and North Carolina, but they're associated with universities, so they're looking for cryptids of all types, not only Bigfoot and bipedals, but they're looking for new species all the time. And there's quite a few in California, mostly Northern California. There's a forensic veterinary operation that I understand just closed up, but it was intact for about 10 or 15 years, and that was in Colorado, and they were doing mostly cattle mutilation investigations. But I understand that they folded the doors.
Well, you know what? We'll see where it goes. If this research does come through and there is something that comes up, I'm curious to see how many universities will jump on it. And this also leads to Mr. Freely's question, and he is asking, what makes a cryptid? And if a cryptid is found, is it still a cryptid, or would it just be another animal now?
No, it would be a cryptid because, cryptozoology is the study of things that shouldn't be there. That's what it means. It's, you're looking for animals that may have existed but died off, but that they made a comeback, or like the Tasmanian devils, down in New Zealand, Australia area. There's new species found every day, but a cryptid is something that might have been there and is no longer there, or was not supposed to be there and it is there. And we have a lot of sightings and a lot of different things. I mean, look up in the Chicago area right now where they're dealing with all these flying cryptids. Nobody knows what they are, but they're large. Some resemble pterodactyls. Some resemble like giant bats. And when I say giant, I mean really big. So there's all kind of stuff going on. And it's not here. It's all over the world. They just found a new species of a gorilla. So, and not too long back, just a few years ago, was the first time they actually found a silverback gorilla. So, I mean, new species are being found all the time. They said the last black rhinoceros was died, I believe, 4 or 5 days ago, and somebody sent them pictures of a whole herd of them. Different part of Africa, but they're there, so they're not extinct.
Would you classify any cryptid found as an animal-type species or a new type of species found rather than keep it in the cryptozoa family?
No, it would be a new species found. They have to sustain themselves. The only weird thing that we found here in Pennsylvania is that the areas, our research area, the Lichen Loop, where we do our research, which is 180 miles one direction, 60 miles the other direction, we went back to look up Bigfoot sightings in that particular area, and there were, before the first bipedal canine sighting. Since the first bipedal canine sighting, there are no Bigfoot sightings in that area. None. Absolutely zero.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is.
My friend, we only have you for about another minute here. And this show, once again, has flown on by. And I want to say my appreciation to you coming in again. I absolutely love it when you're here. I know our audience does as well. Do me a favor. Let everybody know where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you, or report a sighting.
If they need to report a sighting or get a hold of me, they can do that on our website, uforcop.com. They can get me on Facebook under the UFO Research Center, Pennsylvania. They can get me on Facebook under Butch Witkowski or under U4Cop. Twitter at Butch Witkowski. So if they need information, they can message me on Facebook or send me an email. When they fill out the terrestrial contact on the website, it comes direct to me by email. If they need information or they want something off our database or they just, need whatever, we'll see what we can do for them.
Wonderful. Butch Witkowski, thank you so much for coming on the show. As per usual, my friend, we will talk to you on Monday, April 29th. Butch Witkowski's website, uforcop.com. Coming up, we have the SOR Newswire. We'll break down my latest blog and the thought of the day. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is spaced out radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on the mighty SOR. I am your host, Dave Scott. Hanging out with you tonight from the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Want to say a big thank you to Butch Witkowski for coming on Strange Days. And now we get to the weird, the wacky, the WTF, the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show to talk about the weird, the wacky, the WTF that happens each and every night on this show and from around the world, and especially the state of Florida. We're going to get into a little bit of breaking news right off the bat, because earlier today, very popular person in the team MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, Chase Klotsky, former guest on this show, resigned from her position as Director of Investigations. Now, there is some speculation that she is not leaving MUFON fully, just stepping down from the position, which will be taken over by a gentleman named Ken St. John on an interim basis. Chase has been through a lot of criticisms recently regarding MUFON, the way she's investigated, and a lot of it came out with Philip Leach and his letters that we covered extensively on the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk did a great job with that in bringing all of that together. There was rumors of infighting and everything, and it seemed to revolve a lot around Chase, but she did have people on the other side who were absolutely loving the work that she was doing, whether it was with the SAT teams, the private teams that they have to go out on investigations, or whether it was in helping recruit new members. So we're going to be following this story, see what Chase is going to be up to. I have reached out to her, have not heard back. My sources within MUFON have said that she is going to remain with the investigation. It's kind of funny, though, that her resignation, though, comes on the heels of her literally walking off a cruise ship for a MUFON cruise, where she was one of the lead people on that cruise. So very interesting timing. Nonetheless, this is a brand new story, came out just late this afternoon, and Captain Shirk did a great job of getting it. We'll be following this up a little bit more as time goes on. Now, I wrote my recent blog, and on Mondays we usually get into Dave's blog type thing, which can be found at spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news side. It's about Bigfoot this week. And there's a lot of people, like we talked with Butch Witkowski, who go out and try to find this creature. How do you do it? What should you be looking for? Well, take a read at it. Tell me what you think. You can get a hold of me on social media or on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. On Facebook, message us at the SOR Dave Scott page. That would be great. We'd love to hear your opinion on this. I think in regards to going out to look for Bigfoot, you have to be prepared to find nothing. You really do. You have to be prepared to find nothing. That's what it comes out to. And if you're not, you're wasting time, which is weird because you're wasting time looking for nothing. But it's that one little piece of patience that you have that could turn into a lifelong journey. And that's the advice I give for anybody who is out looking for Bigfoot. Don't just go into the forest like spending an hour or two, maybe 3. You're not going to find anything. You got to get comfortable, get eased in, go in at night. Make sure you're protected, of course. But have some fun with it. Keep an open mind. There's too many people who are closed-minded on this subject. Way too many people. Way too many people. Keep an open mind. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it's like. We don't know absolutely anything about it. The big thing that you need to do is you need to just keep an open mind and see where it goes. See where it goes. That's the big thing. Let's move on. All right. British Airways pilot made a major boo-boo. Major boo-boo. So, here we are, passengers get aboard their Airbus, getting ready to take off on the British Airways flight from London City to Dusseldorf, Germany. This happened this morning. Problem was, their plane touched down in Edinburgh, Scotland. Apparently, the pilots incorrectly filed the wrong flight plan, believing that they were heading to Edinburgh. The flight was operated by German leasing company WDL Aviation on behalf of British Airways. The incorrect flight plan was filed in the WDL Aviation's offices in Germany. Talk about an oops. And they didn't realize anything was wrong until the German airport in Dusseldorf was like, where's our flight? Has it crashed? Has it taken off? No, it went west. Go west, my friends. Go west. One passenger said, most passengers sleep or work through this flight, so no one really noticed we were not flying over the channel. We realized we were in Scotland once we descended on approach and asked the crew. Now, everybody's trying to figure out why the incorrect flight plan was accidentally filed. They apologize to every customer for this interruption to their journey and will be contacting each passenger individually. I'm sure there's a free flight or two coming out of this. Hopefully they don't have to pay for those crappy airline meals. WDL Aviation says, we are working closely with authorities to investigate how the obviously unfortunate mix-up of flight schedules could occur. At no time has the safety of the passengers been compromised. We flew the passengers on the flight number BA3271 to Dusseldorf after the involuntary stopover in Edinburgh. No kidding that the flight was not compromised. You got the wrong flight plan in, man. Oh, whatever. Here's a weird one. How many of you out there are parents? All right. So, Heather Brow, 25-year-old mother of a young baby, and her fiancé, Josh Higgins, they're pretty responsible parents. They're trying to do everything right to their little one. So they go and get one of those baby cameras for the baby's room, for the nursery. And, baby's sitting around in its crib, just playing around. Then suddenly, on the baby camera, you see the ghost of a man walk through the bedroom, and then the baby stand up and kind of look in that direction. So if you're a parent seeing this, how would you feel knowing that there is a ghost in your baby's room? Now, the young couple claims they are being driven from their home by this violent schizophrenic spirit after footage showed the ghostly figure walking past their daughter's crib. I don't know how they define that it's schizophrenic. The former homeowner was an elderly lady who lay down with a broken hip for a very long time until she was found dead at the bottom of the stairs. Her schizophrenic brother lived in the guest house until his death some years later. So I guess they're putting the picture that this might be the schizophrenic brother. Ms. Brow, the mother of the child, says, "This is a spirit. I don't know what its intentions are, but at this point it's becoming physically harmful. This has made us want to leave as soon as possible. As soon as possible, we are out of here." It's funny because the story has no real update on how this spirit is being violent outside of the video. The video is actually quite creepy. You can clearly see the image of a man running through. The mother said, "At first, I thought she's a baby. Maybe she scratched herself. But the next day I looked at it and they were deep, like blue-purple scratches. They were pretty prominent." So the child is allegedly being attacked by this. Finally, the story gets to it. I just had to scroll down a little bit more. But either way, how would you react? Seriously, how would you react to that? Your child being attacked by a ghost. Can't really do anything about it. Right? Unless you bring in one of those teams who's going to confirm and deny that your place is haunted. Stir it up even worse. We all know who those teams are, but either way, kind of freaked out. Now, let's head to Florida. Couple of stories out of here. Here's one for all of you who like a good sociable every now and again. A distillery has announced it has created a giant mixing truck that looks like a cement mixer. However, it's a giant martini shaker. It's called the Monkey Shoulder Whiskey Mixer. 27-foot-long truck with a 2,400-gallon drink mixer on the back will be serving cocktails at various locations in the Orlando area. The truck was unveiled at Arizona Cocktail Week in February. Yeah, the drink features Monkey Shoulder Whiskey, mint simple syrup, fresh lemon juice, soda, and mint leaves. This thing's actually pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the driver is going to be very, very popular. That's a job that you want. That's a job that you want. No word on how many applications for that job are out there. And finally, let's head to Miami. Colombian-born Anthony Gignac has been posing as a wealthy Saudi prince, traveling the globe, swindling millions from wealthy investors, federal prosecutors say. Yeah, millions. You look at the guy, he's got a haircut, much like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. I don't know how you fall for that. Well, last May, after 2 false starts, Gignac finally pled guilty to impersonating a foreign government official, stealing other people's identities, and conspiring to commit fraud. After blaming his defense attorney for keeping him in the dark, Gignac made a move to withdraw his guilty plea in August just before being sentenced, and a federal judge in Miami let him do it. Well, you know, he's 47 years old, raised in Michigan, Colombian born, and they call him the Fake Sheik. You got to come up with a better nickname than the Fake Sheik. Like, come on. You can't do better than that? Judge Cecilia Altonga says, I just want to get this over with for the victims and myself and move on. I want a fair plea. But no, this guy, the Fake Sheik, is playing hardball here. Became a U.S. citizen after his adoption by a Michigan family. So apparently, he pretended to be a Saudi prince worth about $600 million in the bank. Went shopping for an upscale hotel. And then, apparently, people were catching on. People were catching on that the bills just weren't being paid. Well, at least he had some fun for a while, right? The SOR Newswire can be found at spacedoutradio.com by clicking on the News tab. Captain Shirk, our news director, does a great job in keeping you informed, so make sure you check back daily. All our news provided and presented by Paranoia Magazine. Let's get to the thought of the day. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What would you do if you came face to face with a dogman or Bigfoot? I think we've all wondered that every now and again, haven't we? All right. Ivan on Twitter says, well, I'm going to run as fast as possible. As Bazooka Joe says, always carry a gun with you, because even if you run slow, you can always shoot your fast friend in the leg. You'll always pass him. For sure. Michael says, I'm going to run away. Lloyd, he's running. And we continue on. Graham says, Dave, my friend, I would cautiously retreat and return to a car and hightail it the hell out of there. Rick, the dog man would get done with a flea with flea spray at a collar. Bigfoot, well, we'd become friends because I'd get him a sneaker deal. Let's see. What else we got here? Mona. Hopefully get acquainted. No fear. I would think they would have more fear of us stupid warmongers as thoughtless beings that we are. Not everyone, but as the masses of those to whom we have invaded would make a different account of being. Okay. David, ask if I could take a picture with him and get an autograph. Wonder if Bigfoot carries around a selfie stick or a Sharpie for those moments of autographs needed. Nikki, interesting question, Dave. If there were zero warning signals from the male or female Sasquatch being as calmly telepathic as was possible for communication, if that didn't work, try to calm the F down. And then it'd all depend upon his or her physical behavior, if they were aggressive or not. What if they had a nice aftershave or cologne on? What then, Nikki? What are you going to do then? Paul, no eye contact. I would look down and back away slowly and hope to hell it turned around and walked the other way. At that point, I should try and get a pic, but let's be real here. I'm probably scared crapless right now. Kevin, If I were armed, it would be a situation of giving it the option to come back at me. One bad move and I would open fire, aiming for spots that are not heavily armored by their thick bone structure. This just has to stop. Bring them in as part of our society or begin adding their heads above our fireplaces. I'm waiting for your USA chant, Kevin. Waiting for it. Superlen would use his camera to take a photo. Bazooka Joe, bring me my brown pants. No explanation needed. Catherine, I'm going to go with the scenario. They were calm while I was in my moment of shock. Once my mind gets centered, I would do two different things with them. First, I would not act out. I would do my best to let my curiosity take over and offer them kindness. Second, I would offer them clean water or one of my Granny Smith apples. What if you didn't have any apples? Joe, I came face to face with a skunk last night, close enough. I could have touched it. I said hello. It moved along. Hopefully the Bigfoot would do the same. I would punch Dogman in the throat, though. Dogmen are way too well known to be jerks. Let's just use that term instead. That's where we're going to end the thought of the day. I want to say a big thank you to everybody listening in to Butch Witkowski tonight. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days happens the final Monday of every month. Butch will next be with us on Monday, April 29th, where we'll go into some depths of big name stories in the world of cryptids. Of course, Butch's website is uforcop.com, and if you need to get a hold of me, you can do that at any time. We want to say a big thank you once again to Captain Shirk for getting our SOR Newswire prepared for us on a daily basis. Go check that out at spacedoutradio.com. Click on the News tab. Tomorrow night on the show, Len Kasten is going to join us. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We're getting into alien reptilians. What do they want from us? Are they really hidden within our governments? Let's get the peak woo rolling. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thank you to everyone listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in the chat rooms, on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Wherever you may be, we thank you for doing your part, hanging out with us. Remember, Spaced Out Radio is officially almost over, but this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for telling your friends, hanging out with us, doing your part to make us a lot more fun each and every night, because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.